Hey guys, and welcome to my Cursed Realm guide for Demonic Nemora. Now, I am a free-to-play player, and the Awakened heroes that I have built is Awakened Solus and Belinda, but I'll show you what comps I used for my Cursed Realm. Now, as you can see, top 20% Cursed Realm is really good as free-to-play, I'd say. Like, these rewards are nothing to scoff at, but I don't know if I can keep this rank, because there's still 20 hours left. Now, what comps did I use? Well, as you can see, I was able to do 24 million damage. And you might be able to see that I wasn't able to do a whole lot of damage before here. And what changed? This changed. REM in this Cursed Realm rotation is completely bonkers. So if you can trial REM, you'll do a lot of damage in this one, but I'll show you how. So, going over the teams. Now this, my setup is based on the Cursed Friends Cursed Realm guide. So that's kind of where I base my teams upon. Now this last team here, kind of had to get a little creative, but I'll get over that. So, as we start off, we have the Awakened Baden team, which is my usual merc for Cursed Realm. I always merc an Awakened Baden because he's always meta. So if you can merc an Awakened Baden or you have Awakened Baden, very important for this this round. So anyways, this is my team, right? I use the pretty standard Baden group up team. Now for this team, the Odin actually just gets banished for the entire fight and doesn't do anything, but I haven't been able to find anything doing more damage than this team. Now for this next team, it's the Scarlet team. Now, interestingly enough, you don't run Gress, and I use Moril as a sub for Awakened Solus, who's usually in here, because I use Awakened Solus in this fight, because I don't have a Thane. Right, I have a merked Thane, but I can only use one merked hero. So Moril is a fine replacement here. This team can do fine damage. Now this next team is the Awakened Belinda team. Now I have fine investments in everything. My pets only level 6, and my Kinesis and Rook lacks furniture. But this team usually does fine. And then we have the Brutus team. Now this team is highly RNG. I think it's probably less RNG if you have built out Brutus. One thing you can do is you can replace Brutus with Mulan. However, I don't have Mulan built out either, and Brutus actually has the chance of doing decent damage if you get the right RNG in this fight. I've seen 2 million damage even with this budget roster, like without the Awakened Brutus built out. Notably, my Fire Breather is level 9, so maybe that matters a lot for the damage output, I'm not sure. And here we have it. This is basically what makes or breaks this round of the Cursed Realm, if you're able to use REM. If you're not able to use REM, this is an Eins round. I'll go over the Cursed Friends guide afterwards. This is an Eins round, or it's a Kaleen round. Now, as you can see, my Kaleen, she isn't even in the Resonating Crystal, but she isn't built out, and obviously, like most other people, I have built out Eins. But REM in this round is such a monster. So if you can trial REM, borrow REM, buy REM, do whatever, get REM. She does so much damage. And then for this last team, usually this is a Thane team, but I don't have Thane. And if you really want a solid team here, you can throw in Palmer and Rosaline and Palmer in these two positions and put Rain up here. However, I use those for my REM team. But this team can do about 2 to 3 million, and if you use Rosaline and Palmer, it can do 4 million. But if you don't use Rosaline and Palmer in here, you lose a lot of damage. So this is the most optimal way to shuffle around the heroes that I've found. Now if we just do a quick try, this is my last attempt probably. I already bought some extra attempts. As you can see in this first fight, Odin gets banished and he doesn't come back. And then there's some RNG to this fight, right? Sometimes Awakened Baden pops off, and sometimes he doesn't do as much damage. But I'll just skip the fights. And as you can see here, this was one of the lower rounds for Awakened Baden. This is not going to be a good attempt, I can already tell, because Baden only did 3.4. And as you can see here, this can do a lot more than 1.3, I've seen. A fine Belinda round. 600 million for Brutus is not good, because I know this can do a 17 or 1.7 billion. And even REM actually didn't do a lot of damage this round. So this round's going to be real low. Yeah, 16 million, which is far from the 24 million I was able to do with my best attempt. Now just going over my best attempt here. These are the teams that I used, right? As you can see here, Baden was able to do 5. This team was able to do, 3? Belinda was able to do 5. Brutus, okay, this isn't even the best example, but here he was able to do 1 billion. And REM was able to do 6.2 billion. And then lastly, Solus doing 2.1 or something, 2.3. But I just want to show you how this Brutus team can actually do damage. That's a bad example. That's a bad example, but I know... Here, look at this. So if I was willing to spend enough diamonds to retry, I could get good RNG on the other fights and then get this Brutus RNG, where he's actually pumping out almost like, 2 billion damage at Legendary. Incredible. Anyways, now I want to go over the Cursed Friends Guide. So, first of all, if you don't know what that is, we'll go here to Discord. Here. This is the Cursed Friends Discord. Now, usually in my videos, I shill the FK Arena crowdsourcing Discord, which is also good for Cursed Realm. But when you want guides for Cursed Realm, you go to this Discord. This is basically what everyone uses, and this is the guide that they release weekly, usually towards the end of the rotation, and they'll go over the different formations and variations in the guide. So if we go take a look at this guide real quick, this is how the guide looks. So immediately you can see that every single round is here in the Cursed Realm, right, in the boss round at the end. And notably in the top here, they tell you what should you merc for this round. So what's like the priority. And as you can see here, REM is in 3rd priority among all the other awakened heroes, right? That should tell you how strong REM is. And a big buff Linda is the best you can merc. I already have Belinda build, not big. When they say big, they mean like above 60 engraving, which mine is just 60, which is fine for me. But yeah, as you can see, I went for Baden, REM I trialed, and so on. So if we go over the different teams. Now, here, interestingly enough, Frampton is used, but Frampton is such a niche character. Not a lot of people have this guy built. So I went for this variation. I also tried out this and this variation, but this variation seems to do the best for me. For some reason, my Odin gets, as they say here, forks. If they eat twins, you should shuffle around gear. My Odin actually gets eaten by forks, but it's fine. As you can. Oh, another notable thing is you can see how much the different team composition can do, right? So 3 to 8 billion. For me, I've seen my Baden hit like 5.5 or 6 billion. So I haven't really seen 8 billion, but I also don't use Frampton, right? So you can kind of see what you should estimate, and if something goes wrong, maybe you look at these notes, right, for the different fights. For example, Mortis, maybe you want to reduce his haste or whatever. All right, so for the next round, this is where I did a little bit of variation myself. So as you can see, this is the Scarlet round, and as you can see as well, this uses Legendary. When they are marked with yellow, that means Legendary. They can work at Legendary. This uses Awakened Soulless. Now, I use Awakened Souls for the boss round, and I believe they also write this in here. Yeah, if you're not using Palmer elsewhere, here, there's an advantage taking Souls out of this round and putting her into the boss round. And if, as they type here, if you're not using Palmer, you can do 5 billion in the boss round with Awakened Souls. Now, I was using Palmer as well, but I was able to do 2.3 billion without Palmer, but with Soulless. So I didn't use Soulless in this comp. Instead, I threw in Moril, but as you can see, there are different subs for Soulless that you can throw in here. Now, if you don't have all these wilders, you can also look at the Gress, classic Gress Twins Scarlet variations, right? Here is the Belinda one, and Belinda replaces a kind of a classic in Cursed Realm, which is the Moril Torn team, which used to be a good team, or it is a good team, right? Still a good team, but Belinda actually just is so much better at this point. And as you can see here, Belinda apparently works at Legendary for this round. But the bigger Belinda, obviously, the better. And if you have Moril and Torn really built out, maybe all two is better for you. Like, all two worked fine for me, but because I have Belinda built, she did a lot more damage than the Torn Moril combo. Also, they go different swaps, right? So maybe you can swap this into round 4 instead, and then round 4 into round 3. This is something I don't usually play too much around with, just because I don't want to theory craft all night, basically. And here you can see this is actually the team that I use. Now, they didn't mark Brutus with a yellow here, but my Brutus actually worked out. As I showed you the screenshot earlier, that he was able to do 2 billion damage even at Legendary. And as you can also see, Moril can sub for Brutus, or not Moril, Mulan can sub for Brutus, but again, my Mulan was not very built out. But this is something I'll work on, because I don't think I'll be building Brutus. I think my next Awakened hero should probably be Thane, or Matria, but I'll get to that at some point. I might make an Awakened hero tier list for free-to-play players. But if you're wondering, it's Belinda, Soulless, probably into Baden, and then like Matria, Brutus, Thane, and then the rest is kind of useless. And here you have the REM comp, right? And as you can see, people are hitting 11 billion damage on REM, and they call this comp very high RNG, and I agree, but it's actually fairly consistent. But hitting the high numbers will be RNG, but you always hit high in my experience with this comp, whether you hit 3 or 8. Like I've done 8 with this comp in my retries. But as you can see here, this is where we use Palm and Rosaline, which I wanted to use for the boss comp, but it paid off so much in this comp with REM. So REM is just a beastly unit, right? And if you don't have the REM trial, you go here and you can see, oh, like obviously I advise you to trial REM for this round, but if you don't, you can still run the Irons team, and if you, for whatever reason, have Kayleen built out, right? This was what used to be best in slot, but I didn't build Kayleen because she was really only useful at this one round in Cursed Realm. And now she's replaced, so let's pour one out for the people who actually built Kayleen, because it seems like REM is here to stay, which I'm all for. As a free-to-play player, you should celebrate whenever dimensional heroes become meta, because they're very cheap to build, and also they're very accessible, and most importantly, they're not awakened heroes. So if REM could make a stand in the Cursed Realm and knock out some awakened hero team comp, maybe the Brutus comp, that would be really cool with me. And then for the boss comp. Now, this boss comp is such a hell. It's basically welcome to hell, because everything works. TLDR, everything works. As you can see here, the idea is that you use some DPS and some subs, supports, and you mix and match depending on what you have. Now, previously I have run both Prince and Lucretia as my carries in these rounds. I haven't tried out Yorin. I might actually try that out next round, or maybe I'll try it out afterwards. I didn't know he could sub in here, but obviously any DPS works. So the best in slot, you use regular Thane, but it's like no one has regular Thane built out. And if you want to use regular Thane, he needs to be built out, which I don't recommend. This is low-key kind of what I did with my Soulless comp, except I used Silas elsewhere, so I just threw in Rain, and I just called that a day. But as you can see, you can pretty much mix and match like all sorts of variations. So TLDR, you go to the Cursed Realm Discord, you find this document, and you just trial and error, see what works for you. Don't have this hero builds. As you can see, these are so well done, these guides. This is probably the most consistent and the most well done guide in the current AFK Arena landscape. Every week they put out this guide, they update it, they throw in different alternatives to every single comp, free to play, friendly, and all that, and you just have to respect them. So shout out to the Cursed Friends Discord for making this guide every week. As you can see, here's the Cursed Realm Cursed Friends Discord link. I'll also link it in the description. Go look at this guide, go look at my comps, make your own composition based on your investments and see how high you can score. And if you can, get REM. Again, like, it's unreal, REM. Just, if you can use REM, get REM. But that's about it for my Cursed Realm guide. Yeah, all in all, just get REM. All right, take care.